Okay, PSA damage report on first official run of the DBXL 2.0. I would assume these are factory issues. I did get it used, but there is quite a few problems with this thing right off the rip. We didn't even burn a full tank. And the links are loose as all get up. The shocks are super loose. Now, granted, I didn't Loctite like I probably should have. But, that being said, it shouldn't have fallen apart like it did. Long story short, I had a grub screw come out of the rear drive axle right here in the very front that holds the pin in, and the two grub screws that hold the cup on the input shaft coming out to here. Now, it doesn't sound all bad, which it's not horrible, and I'm glad I caught it, but if you look right there, it was starting to eat a little hole into the engine block, which, no bueno in my book. Well, that's issue number 1. And issue number 2, you can see, is missing the fuel tank. And that is because, for some weird reason, there was a hole in the back of it. I did fix it with some JB Weld. I have some gas in there sitting to test it out, and it's the same level as beforehand. Now, for the moment of truth, you check under it to see if it's leaking anywhere else. And it's not. We're dry. We're good. Cool. So that's fixed. Can put that sucker back in there.
And we can tell them about that we got Mom fully built, but have 1, 2 things.
Yep, there's that. I think the next video is going to be with this guy, Losi U4. It is one heck of a reliable vehicle. This is actually my son's his first RC car, and honestly, we've had it for a couple of years now, and I haven't had a single issue. But this guy, on the other hand, is a whole new story. We got a bunch of loose stuff. The front differential is already sounding kind of chunky. It still feels decently smooth, but I feel like I'm going to have to replace a thing or two. And if you look closely, if I can get the angle right, probably not. The front drive shaft is actually jumping when I'm rotating it. I really hope there's not more broken parts on this thing. If that's the case, then I'm just going to lock the diffs and be done with it. But, yeah. So, if you have one of these guys, and you're leaking fuel from somewhere and you don't know why or where, check the fuel tank. You see the fuel lines coming out right here. The carburetor normally sits right about here. And this right here, the hole, is actually under the primary gear cog. So once you pull the tank out, you'll probably see a little yellow piece of glue in there. Fix that before it causes major issue, because that's a safety concern in my book. But anywho, that is the final report on the first run and how it went. 30 minutes of bashing, and you end up with $70 worth of broken parts. Oy. Come on, Losi, I thought you were better than this. Anywho, next video is going to be fixing and hopefully bashing again. It would be nice if we can actually run a full tank without something breaking on one of these things. Anywho, DBXL 2.0. Aside from those issues, it's a really fun little car. Excuse the mess. This is our storage room. Yeah, have a good one. Hope you enjoy. Out. Okie dokie artichokey. We've got her back together. I had to glue the grub screws back in. Don't crucify me. I don't want these things coming out again. You can see the grub screw right there. Got locked in. And see if we can rotate. There goes the other one. And the last video, I had an issue with the grub screw that was placed in the axle here coming out. Not horrible, but if you look right there on the side, it was actually chewing a hole into the engine block, so that's not good. Fixed that. Luckily, I didn't technically really lose anything but some grub screws. I ordered this new shaft and everything because the key on this guy was starting to get rounded out, so I just bought it a whole new cup and everything. Came with grub screws, replaced those. Actually have a couple of spares. Not a bad idea. Keep in mind, to get to this part, you do have to remove the exhaust. There is a screw right here in the back on the corner. You can't get to it without it unless you got some fancy tools.
Tell him how he lifted this thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. From the factory, it came a little on the low side, so what I did was I literally just took this shock mount and moved it one hole outward. I also took the, what do you call these things? Spring adjusters, I guess. Put them all the way down. Gives it plenty of tension to lift the buggy a lot more. From the factory, they are a little bit on the low side for my liking. Beforehand, I can only fit my fist under there. Now I can fit my fist plus movement. So I got, I don't know, probably about a quarter to half inch higher. A little bit more of a lift. PSA about these fuel tanks. There is a hole in the back on the very bottom. So if you have a fuel leak on one of these guys and you don't know where it is or what's going on, take the fuel tank off. From the factory, there is a hole in the very bottom. I don't know why. You may not have this issue, but if you have fuel leak, again, take this thing off and fix it. I used 2-part epoxy, or other known as JB Weld. It worked freaking flawlessly. I've had the fuel in there for over a week and it's been bone dry since. So there's that. Also, these guys were super loose. I Loctited the poop out of them and put down the German torque spec, Guten tight. See where it goes from there. I don't know. We haven't run it yet since. I also had to do the same with these guys. Move them up a post hole and drop them all the way down for tension. So now it sits nice and high. We're good there. Let's see. What else? Well, I do believe we got everything. We've Loctited all the stuff that has been loose.
Now we can tell him about the Westwood.
And all that's back together. We still have to figure out what's going on with the front or the rear or whatever at this point. I don't really care. I'm just going to run it until it blows up.
At least this thing has 4-wheel drive again.
Yeah, I hope it has 4-wheel drive. It comes with 4-wheel drive. Only problem is when this guy popped off, there was nowhere for the power to go. Because with this open differential, if this comes off, then it's just going to sit there and spin. There's nothing to grab either side to put power to. That's the downside to an open differential. See, everything spins because it's all connected now. If I take this little piece out right there, you can spin this all you want and it won't drive the back end. Because it'll just sit there and spin on the front.
That's all it has to go.
Yep. But if we were to put a locker in here or lock the differential, you could disconnect the front or disconnect the rear and it'll just be either front wheel drive or rear wheel drive because the center differential is locked.
Like that. What drive do you want? Wheel drive or front drive?
I want all wheel drive. I want all my tires to go. That's just better traction.
And your truck has never had a lot better traction than ever.
So,
Did you see?
yeah, as you can see, we did take it out for a nice little run. We got, I don't know, probably about 90% of the tank. And then his car that we were driving that day, battery died, so we just took it as a sign and brought it all in. So hopefully next time you see us,
it'll be running again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You heard him say wrestler. Post in the comments. What do you think will win? A 2.5R nitro wrestler? Or a 32cc low C? In all honesty, I couldn't give you an honest opinion because this thing actually has a few things done to it and it's pretty quick. Got the Traxxas Performance tuned pipe. I have a lightened flywheel. I also have a...
giant tires in the back?
Yeah, giant tires in the back. Definitely did not come stock. And then a 3-puck clutch, which you can't see in there, but it's a 3-puck aluminum clutch.
And
I also have Traxxas big bore shocks and the metal drive shafts.
That the front had.
Yep.
The front wheel. But
So hopefully the next video will be either this guy running or them both racing, or I don't know, maybe a performance part or something on this guy. I don't know. I can't tell. It's hard to tell. But as you can see, those of you that know about the Nitro Wrestler, this is not the right tire that goes on the front. That's because I did the hub conversion. So now I can run the 12 millimeter hex on the front, I believe. Either way, I did that and it opened it up to where I can run whatever the hell tire I want. So that's good. Anywho, till next time.
today